Aristotle was very interested in politics. That's why he studied how different societies are governed. In those days, in the 4th century BC, Greece was divided in different states, in different small cities that were independent, and Aristotle studied how these cities were ruled. He discovered that different cities had different ways of government. In some of them, there was one person having the power. In others, it was a small group of people who had the power. And in others, such as Athens, there was a democracy, meaning that all the people had the power. When are these forms of government acceptable and fair? Aristotle thought that they could all be fair if they tried to obtain the common good of everybody. If a certain way of government tries to be just because it is interested in the common good, in the welfare of all the population, then it is acceptable and legitimate. But for Aristotle, if the way of government is unjust because it is trying to obtain a particular benefit for a group, then it is not acceptable. So Aristotle classified all the different types of government he knew in two big groups: fair and acceptable, which are those that try to obtain the common good; unfair and unacceptable, if they try to pursue a particular interest and not the common good for everybody. Now, different societies can have different ways of government, and they can be okay because everything depends on the circumstances and peculiarities of that society. Everything is okay as long as they try to achieve the common good. For example, if in a city one person has the power, this is what Aristotle called a monarchy, and it is an acceptable way of government if this king tries to obtain the common good for everybody and is interested in the welfare of all society. If a small group of people have the power, Aristotle called this an aristocracy, and it can be fair if they are interested in the common good. And democracy is a fair and just way of government where all the people have the power and they try to achieve the common benefit for everybody. But these systems can get corrupted, can be unjust, if they are not trying to pursue the final common good of everybody. For example, if a king has the power but he is interested in his particular interest and not the common interest, then we no longer have a monarchy. We have a tyranny because the king has become a tyrant. That is what we call today a dictator, but in those days Aristotle called that a tyranny. When a small group of people have the power and they are interested in their particular benefit, that is what Aristotle called an oligarchy, which is an unfair way of government. And what about a democracy? Can a democracy become a corrupt and unjust system of government? Yes, of course it can. Think about a place where the people have the power, but they are not interested in the benefit of everybody. They are only interested in their particular selfish interest. This is what we call a demagogy, which is the corruption of a democracy. An example, think about a country where the majority of the people vote and their decision is taken by majority, but what they decide is not benefiting everybody. For example, what would happen if we vote and we decide by majority that minorities in our society should be discriminated and treated unfairly? This decision is taken democratically by a vote, but it is not fair because it is not thinking about the benefit and welfare of everybody. This is what Aristotle considered a corruption of democracy, and that is what we today call a demagogy.